The South Asian community in the immediate aftermath of 9/11 is seen through a lens of terrorism.
The impact on our communities has made all of us unsafe, regardless of whether we are part of these communities or not.
We are a less free society than we were 10 years ago, and the rest of the world is worse off as a result.
In essence, we felt like we'd been attacked twice.
From the ongoing impact of bullying in schools to the mandatory registration of certain males from Muslim-majority nations, our community has now faced nearly a decade of backlash.
We serve youth from all over South Asia of various faiths. Many of our youth were victims of bias attacks. How are they treated in schools by other students? How are they treated by teachers? How are they treated by, let's say, NYPD when they're on the streets? Has taken a turn for the worse after 9/11.
The first fatality that was a result of the September 11th backlash was a Sikh man named Balbir Singh Sodhi. The man who killed him went on to target 4 other people who he perceived to be Middle Eastern terrorists.
The overall demonization of Muslims, the equation of Muslims as terrorists, really is just a trickling down of the policies above them. We were hit with not just the mass roundups and deportations, we started having special registration. Low-wage Muslim immigrants who've been rounded up as suspected terrorists, material witnesses, the ones who lost the most. The actual legal consequence that they have faced is immigration law. If they are undocumented, they have been detained, often indefinitely, and then deported. In certain neighborhoods like Coney Island, 25% of the community is gone.
Working with immigrant women of color, it's become really hard for me to speak with somebody and convince them of seeking out help even from non-state agencies, even from non-profits or service agencies. The idea that's in their mind is that it could lead to deportation proceedings either for themselves or their children or their partner.
Law enforcement in our community knows that's the way they get us. They use immigration law.
Government policies that have singled out members of our communities in the airports, at the border, or in the enforcement of immigration law has only compounded the sense of our community as suspicious.
There are airports in this country that subject Sikhs with turbans to 100% secondary screening. We've been working on this issue for years, and the problems continue.
Racial profiling has emerged as a real threat to the Fourth Amendment in particular, the right to individualized suspicion, as well as the First Amendment and the right to political speech and the right to free exercise of religion, both of which have been compromised by FBI infiltrations of activist groups and religious institutions.
In order for us to really understand that, we have to look at the historical trajectory of this country itself. How communities of color have been seen as the other, and how in public and private domain, through media and public policy, communities have been criminalized, which would further justify the policies that have emerged out of that.
Profiling doesn't end with immigration. It includes a host of different types of discrimination that Native American communities, Black communities have been facing for decades.
The way in which our membership and community faces the policy impacts of 9/11 is in the day-to-day policing of our neighborhoods as working class people of color. And one important thing that we say is that we're not special in this, that South Asians are just the newest, perhaps, population in the US to face what poor people of color have faced historically. We shouldn't just be seeking support from the African American community, the Latino community, or other communities. We should be offering proactive solidarity and support.
As we approach the anniversary, we hope to see lawmakers take accountability for how repressive profiling practices have targeted our community.
If the government comes out and says, we were wrong and we need to change these policies, that would send a really strong message to the rest of the American community that engaging in discrimination is wrong.
One step in the right direction would be the passage of the End Racial Profiling Act, or IRPA, which would bar the use of racial profiling by law enforcement agencies. Another concrete step would be to repeal NSEERS and other post-9/11 legislation that has hurt our communities.
The executive branch should mandate independently data collection by local police departments of the demographics of people stopped, searched, arrested, and detained in order to establish where and how badly profiling is happening. At the moment, it's all opaque, and we need to bring transparency to that arena of executive secrecy.
Finally, we would like to create mechanisms to ensure that in future times of turbulence, our nation does not scapegoat particular communities.
It's imperative for the Sikh community, the South Asian community, any immigrant community to get involved and to get civically engaged. One of the biggest ways we can combat discrimination against our communities is through education and outreach and engagement.
This changes the course of history for our community in the U.S. We have to be a more united political body in the U.S.
The road to accountability can be long, but the journey is necessary.